Welcome back, Commander. We've gone through a lot of information so far, but one crucial aspect to whatever career path you choose is ensuring that your ship is set up correctly. While you can make a ship which is alright at being an all-rounder, it's always best to choose the ship and loadout which is right for you. We'll go over this as well as the module themselves regarding class and ratings in this video. Firstly, which ship to choose. While you start off in a Sidewinder, it's advised to move to a more specialised ship as soon as you can. If you want to go down the bounty hunting road, I would suggest moving to either an Eagle or a Viper. The Eagle's shields and hull are a lot weaker, and while they can be strengthened with shield boosters, they're still pretty flimsy compared to the Viper. The trade-off here is that the Eagle is much more manoeuvrable, while the Viper, being larger, also has more hardpoints, one extra utility mount and one extra internal bay, meaning of course more firepower and gadgets. For your bounty hunting loadout, it would be worth your while splitting a fire group between energy and kinetic weaponry. Energy weapons will be good at taking down the opponent's shields, and the kinetic based guns are a lot better suited to tearing holes in a hull. It is certainly a better idea to pay a little extra and install gimbaled weaponry, but more on that later. For my setup, I've gone with beam lasers, which will fire a constant stream at my opponent, and a pair of multi-cannon as well. For your utility mounts, your regular scanners will pick up if any vessels are wanted within your current system, but a kill warrant scanner will be useful, even if not vital. The utilities I've found most useful are one shield booster, because you never know, and one point defense mount, to take out any missiles aimed at me. If you want to make sure you can follow any bounties which fly to supercruise, you'll need an FSD wake scanner as well, though choose carefully, as you only have 2 utility mounts. For your internal compartments, if you're bounty hunting, an FSD interdictor will be vital. This is the only way you'll have of knocking any wanted criminals out of supercruise, and it makes it much easier to collect your bounties. A shield generator will also be required to protect your hull. There are a few other things which you can pick and choose between. A fuel scoop or extra fuel tank is useful for long journeys, but not vital. Hull reinforcement is always a good idea, especially as we'll be looking to get into a lot of fights with some big fish for the big paydays. You have 4 internal compartments to choose from, and my choices would have an interdictor and a shield generator, along with basic discovery scanners and a cargo hold. They're not needed for bounty hunting, but scanning the systems and transporting any cargo which happens to be going my way has netted me a fair amount of profit. Your priorities for upgrading ship systems will be your power plant and power distributor to be able to hold your big guns and shields. You'll also want to get your bulkheads reinforced as soon as you can. If exploration is more your thing, the vessel itself is slightly less important. Exploration can be done in most ships, but it would be a good idea to net yourself an Adder and possibly work your way up to a Cobra. Again, while the smaller Adder is much more manoeuvrable, the Cobra has one extra hardpoint and an extra internal compartment, as well as the compartments themselves being larger. Being a discovery ship, you're going to be a little less battle oriented, but it's still important to defend yourself. For this reason, your weaponry is still going to come in useful, but you aren't going to focus so much on using it. Any decent combination of energy weapons will suffice. As you don't need ammunition, it avoids needing to call in at space stations, when you find yourselves miles away from them. For your utility mounts, I would suggest having either shield boosters or countermeasures installed. For your internal compartments, we don't really need to worry about cargo space too much. I'd say the things you're going to look at here are the discovery scanners. You'll want a surface scanner and as good a discovery scanner as you can afford. A shield generator is still important, but what we really want to do is be able to keep going into deep space without worrying about running out of fuel. For that reason, you're going to want a fuel scoop and an auto field maintenance kit to repair yourself and refuel while on the go. For exploration, you're going to want to upgrade your ship's thrusters, frame ship drive, sensors and fuel tank as a priority. If you're looking at becoming a trader, you can go for a hauler if you choose. For its price, it has a large cargo capacity, but you'll be saving for a long time before you can afford a Type 6, 7 or 9 hauler, taking your cargo space up to around 250 tons per compartment, rather than the Cobra's 8 or the Adder's 6. Your first hauler will start off with just 1 hardpoint and 2 utility mounts. Again, an energy weapon is a good choice, as well as whichever countermeasures you'd like. As a trader, you're going to want to fit as much cargo space in as possible, and the first things you're going to want to upgrade are your thrusters, frameshift drive, and a fuel tank. So those are the big three in Elite: combat, trading and exploration. But while we're here, let's take a slight look inside your ship. It can be a little confusing sometimes as to what classes and ratings mean. While the general rule is the more expensive it is, the better it is, the distinctions are as so. The class is represented by a number and a rating by a letter. In essence, the higher the number and earlier the letter, the better the item, although each will change in different ways. Your class is, in essence, the size of the item. This is important when it comes to your hardpoints and internal compartments, as a size 2 compartment cannot hold a size 3 expansion, which makes sense. Being a bigger size, as well as mostly being better, the items will also have more mass, and again means that you can fit fewer of them onto your ship. In terms of the ratings, the earlier the letter, the better. A Class 3A item will be better than a Class 3B item. However, it's important to note that a Class 3G item may well be worse for you than a Class 2A, which has a much higher rating, even though it's smaller. In order to contrast the two, you can select to compare when looking to swap weapons or countermeasures. When comparing items, there are a few things to look out for. On weaponry, you have the option of fixed, gimbaled, or turret. They will increase in price accordingly. The fixed weapon is as it sounds. Your guns are fixed and will fire at one point directly ahead of you. If you choose gimbaled weapons, you'll have to point your nose in roughly the right direction, but the weapons will auto-track your enemy to an extent. Unless they use countermeasures, it will be a lot easier to hit them consistently. Turreted weapons have a 360-degree firing area, and will be able to hit enemy ships even if they're behind you, which is pretty cool, if you can afford them, and if you can find them. Another couple of things to be careful of when outfitting is the energy draw and mass. The amount of energy an item requires could mean that when you deploy hardpoints, parts of your ship turn down. This is never good, and you'll want to be sure that your energy draw when deployed, in the bottom right of the outfitting screen, does not match your total power draw, which is again just to the right. Similarly, big items mean more mass, and you'll need to ensure that you don't get too close to the mass limit of your vessel, or you won't be able to upgrade to any bigger items. Worth noting is that moving your mass up will move your largest jump distance down, and vice versa. If looking at weapons, the damage and damage per second are good guides as to how hard you'll hit. Important to remember that kinetic or ammunition based weaponry will do more damage to hulls than a similar rating energy weapon. So that's a look over your ship and outfitting. In the next guide we'll be going to jump to Super Cruise and how best to get to your destination. We've been Pixel Bandits. Carry on, Commander.